Good evening and welcome to the Lebanon City Council meeting for April 26, 2021. I'm City Council President Brent Wheat and I am filling in for Mayor Gentry. Our first order of business tonight will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Kincaid, will you administer that?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome. Madam Secretary, would you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Mike Kincaid.
Present.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Morris Jones.
Here.
Dick Robertson's absent tonight. John Copeland.
Here.
Brent Wheat.
Here.
And Sierra is absent tonight. I did have her already down as absent.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the last meeting. Is there any questions, discussion, or additions, deletions?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And that minutes are approved. Okay, under old business, we have Ordinance 2021-16, the traffic schedule amendment, the second reading. Kevin Krulik, if you would like to talk about that, please.
It's 06, 21.
Oh, 21.
06.
Okay, well, sorry about that. 21,
Just so we're-
2021-06.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got to get the numbers straight. This is straightforward. This is to add a four-way stop at the intersection of Witt Road, just north of 250, associated with the new Sunbrook Villas neighborhood. So all the stuff interior to the development was approved through Board of Works, through the the improvement location permit process. But this one we need to add to our specific schedule as it's on an existing street. So we're just converting that basically the curve in the road on Witt Road, we're converting that into a four-way stop. We think it'll be a lot safer, especially with the added traffic associated with the development in the area. So it's on second reading. I've not received any questions or comments or concerns over the ordinance since it was read on first reading. So if there's no further questions, I would just ask for your support in amending our traffic schedules to add this intersection.
I do have one question for you.
Sure.
You're going to straighten out the curve, right, to make the
Yes.
four-way stop?
Yes, yeah. So the curve there that was essentially, that wasn't a 90-degree curve.
No,
it was
I
more like
understand
75
that.
degrees.
Right.
So it's going to be straightened up directly east-west to the north side of that curve, and then Witt Road will be extended into there. So we're basically squaring up that curve, pushing what would be the center of the curve north to create a new intersection. But it will all be 90 degrees, proper sight visibility, triangles at the corners, four-way stop, turn lanes will be created as well. So I think it'll function better, especially as we see the continued growth and development in that area of town and the traffic volumes that will be expected. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is the developer covering all the cost?
Yes. Yes. This is all 100% developer funded. There is no city dollars put into this. In fact, there is additional monies escrowed by the developer for the future widening of 250 North. We thought we'd be reconstructing that in a couple of years. Unfortunately, we've been unsuccessful with our grant applications for that project, but we'll continue to escrow and hold those monies and figure out when we can work that project into our schedule over the next couple of years.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions or discussion from council?
No, sir.
Is there any public comment on this particular ordinance? Okay, Mr. Shine, if you would read it on second reading.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council. This, again, is ordinance number 2021-06, which amends Chapter 76 of the traffic schedules. This council has jurisdiction over the public thoroughfares and streets within the corporate boundaries of the city. This council believes it's in the best interests of the public health, safety, and welfare to amend Chapter 76 traffic schedules. Therefore, as of the effective date of this ordinance, Chapter 76, Schedule 5, stop intersections of the City Code of Ordinance shall be amended to include the Witt Road and Robinson Run four-way stop, The remaining portions of Chapter 76 of the City Code Ordinance are not affected by this ordinance and shall remain in full force and effect.
All right. If there are no further questions, I would take a motion.
I move that we accept the ordinance number 2021-06.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ordinance passes. Does the council have any other old business not on the agenda?
I do not.
Okay. We will move on to new business, and we will start with ordinance 2021-08. Make sure I got that right. The Noble Street PUD rezone, and we are going to have a presentation by the Planning Department.
Good evening, Council. Matt Reynolds representing the Planning Department tonight. Mr. Bontrager has 18th birthday for his oldest daughter, so happy birthday to her and congratulations to him. So you got me tonight, first time in front of Council, so I appreciate the opportunity. The first project that we have, as Mr. Weed had indicated, is a PUD rezone for some property on the southwest side of town. And if you can see on the screen here, the development in question is located just north of Noble Street. Patterson Street runs through the middle, Coombs Street to the east, with a railroad track running along the west side of the project. The Cottage, and we'll get into a little more detail a little bit later, but the Cottage Development, which is the Ash Street property, is a collection of parcels that the city has owned for, I think, about 40 years or so, kind of tucked in behind the houses there. And then the other property, again, is the Noble Street property, which is east of Patterson along the railroad tracks there. So when looking at the city and identifying some of our biggest economic challenges, what we found is that there is definitely a shortage of workforce, people that work in our business park, people that work in our schools, our hospitals, our service industry, and then also a shortage of available or attainable housing. The average home price here in Boone County is right around $360,000, which for most people that's not necessarily an attainable amount. And then at any given time, if you look at available homes and particular price points, 6 to 9 homes on the market is about all you're going to find nowadays. So there's definitely a shortage of market for attainable housing. So what the city's been working on is finding the appropriate solution to these issues. One of the ways has been looking at developments that are of good quality, good character, add value to a neighborhood. And when looking at these particular parcels, I think that's what you'll see is the creative, unique ideas and development for these underutilized, unused portions of our community. The city's looked at several other areas around, and these were identified as probably the best value, the high target sites right now, simply because we own quite a bit of these parcels already. So this is going to be unique in that it's not a traditional greenfield, open space residential development that we're used to. It's not an Auburn Meadows, it's not a Cedar Ridge, it's an infill product that is designed to accommodate some attainable housing in a market that is in desperate need of it. So today, we think the developer has come up with a unique product, a quality product, one that we think is going to add a desire in the market, and we'll let Brian, the developer, tell a little bit more about it as we get along here this evening. But tonight, in front of you is a PUD rezone, and just a quick reminder on the process. So the process is 2 steps. One is establishing the rezone, and that is establishing the zoning of the property, and then creating an ordinance that's applicable to that particular site. This rezone was forwarded to you with a favorable recommendation last week from the Planning Commission. Tonight is the first reading in front of council with a second reading for adoption possibly on May 10th at the next council meeting. Tonight's first reading with the council, the second step will be then the preliminary plan development, which again is where we get into the nitty-gritty of the project. So tonight is more conceptual, identifying big picture of the area, then the development plan, which would have to come back before the Plan Commission for review and approval, would be the next step in the process if passed with a favorable recommendation from the council. So the developer's here tonight. Like I said, we'll get into a little bit more of those details and the conceptual plans, but I wanted to provide just kind of a high-level outlining of the process and kind of how we got to where we are. So the underlying zoning district that will set up the uses in our district, in this particular case, we're looking at SF3, so single-family residential SF3. So that would be the underlying zoning district that would control what the uses that are there, and then we would have the ordinance that's part of the PUD, which would be the overlay of that particular zoning district. And then that sets up the standards for the specific products that we're going to have in these neighborhoods. And when we're talking about products, again, I don't want to steal the thunder from Brian, but we've got two products that are being presented here for this rezone. And the first one is a cottage development. This is the one off Ash Street. So you can see Ash Street is an undeveloped road right now, and the developer will develop the road all the way through the project. And you'll see here, we're utilizing the 14 parcels that the city owns. These will be single-family detached cottages, 2 to 3 bedroom condos. They will be a rental product. They will have common parking along the street. And I know one of the questions always comes up about parking. The ordinance does require 2 spaces per unit, which does meet our city standards. And all of the cottages will front along a common area throughout the development. Brian will get into that, but those common areas are not only shared space for the neighbors, but will also serve a purpose for on-site drainage and detention. And then the second product that we'll see is over off of Noble, and these will be, the single family would be considered a narrow lot home. These will be an entrance off of Noble Street, single cul-de-sac road. The lots will be 25 feet wide, the home's 20 feet wide, with single car garages, with enough space in the driveway for an additional vehicle without blocking the sidewalk. And then the developer has also worked in some space on the street for on-street parking for guests or visitors to the neighborhood. Again, these will be an available, a sold product. These won't be rentals here. These will be a consumer purchase product, a single-family home. And again, Brian's going to get into a lot of detail, so I don't want to share too much about them. But when considering some of the criteria necessary for rezone of a particular area, a few things that you have to kind of take into consideration. One of the biggest is the comprehensive plan. The city's comp plan does indicate that this proposed location should be developed as single-family residential. In addition, our comp plan encourages residential infill developments as well as beautification efforts in our existing neighborhoods. So this proposed development is consistent with our future land use designation. Another consideration is current conditions and character of the current structures and uses in the area. This area does contain a mix of primarily single-family residential uses, a mix of renter-occupied and owner-occupied, as well as a mix of single-family and multifamily homes. And then also the consideration of collective property values throughout the city. It's not anticipated that this proposed development will have a negative impact on any property values throughout our city. At a micro level, the proposed neighborhood is consistent in character and quality with the neighborhood that's adjacent to the property. And then lastly, the consideration given to responsible growth. The area is planned for residential growth and is served by all the necessary public utilities. The proposed development will not cause any undue strain or stress on the existing infrastructure, and the development will be required to meet all of the applicable standards, including accommodation for drainage, which for this particular parcel is critical for the development of this particular property. As I mentioned, this is my first time in front of council, so I think I went really quick through all of this. So I'll take any questions that you have about the rezone. Again, Brian, the applicant's here, has a lot more details about the project itself, and he can step up and present and answer some questions as well.
Yeah, Matt, I think you did a good job.
Thank you.
But I know many years ago, there was kind of like a penciled-in plan to make that a park. I just wanted, I mean, that was a long time ago.
I've heard about
Yeah.
and I think the Parks Department has maintained that property since the city's ownership, or at least for the recent,
Yeah.
in the recent history. As far as, I don't believe it was included in the park comprehensive plan or the future land use plan for the Parks Department. Mr. Messenger's not here to speak on that behalf. I just know that the city has found a higher and better use for this particular parcel, adding an infill development for residential neighborhoods, filling a void where we have a shortage in the market versus having a park.
Okay, I remember many years ago hearing that, and then it was,
Sure.
I was reminded by one of the residents that lives on Noble Street
Okay.
that their property backs up to it, and they asked me about the park, and I said, I don't know, but I'll ask somebody, so, okay.
I have a question on those apartments. Where are they gonna, the sewage water going on Noble Street?
Where they're going to
Where
sweep
they-
water?
Yes, where I'm saying, taking it to Noble Street and not into Patterson, right?
Go back to the overview. Sorry. So Noble Street and Patterson,
Yeah, but I thought it's gonna be over to the Noble Street, I thought, wasn't it?
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question, Keith.
What's what I'm saying is that the Ash Street property, are they going to get their wastewater, goes out to Noble Street instead of
Oh, yes.
Patterson?
Yes, the sanitary sewer, it's being redirected to another line
Right.
that has capacity. So
Right. That's what I'm saying,
the
yeah.
sanitary structure, there is one line that is close to capacity, and then there's
Right.
another line that has plenty of
Right,
capacity.
right.
And this development is being redirected to that other sanitary sewer that has more than enough capacity to accommodate this new development.
Right.
Sorry. Thanks, Keith.
I just wanted to make sure we got that through there.
Sure.
Any further questions for Matt? from
No,
council?
sir.
Okay.
I have a question, but I don't want to come up there.
Has to come
Ma'am?
here.
Say the lots were 25 feet and the houses were 20.
Ma'am, I'm going to allow public comment,
Oh,
but you're going to have to come to the podium, but there'll be a time for that. I will make sure of it, okay?
big answers right now.
Well, we're trying to keep things in order, okay? And I will absolutely give you time to ask questions, okay? So if, Matt, if you want to go ahead with your
Brian, if
presentation.
you'd like to just come up. Come up. Get you back to your beginning there.
Good evening, members of the council. I'm Brian Stump for the 11th Street Development, 7378 North 550 East, Lebanon, Indiana. And appreciate the opportunity to present this project to you this evening. We're very excited about both of these sites, and it's a project that we've been wanting to do this type of project for quite a while. And we'll discuss that this evening. But first, I want to give you just a little, get the, just going to switch to the overhead here. First,
Matt, do you have a number? Should connect here in a second. There you go.
Great, thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. So real quick, just first of all, I want to talk about our background and kind of who are the Stumps, who's Brian. We are the parents of 10 kids. We've got a big red bus. You've probably seen us drive around town. If it's not the carpet guy, it's probably us. So we've lived in Boone County for 15 years. We're members of Lebanon Bible Baptist Church and for over 10 years, and been Boone County 4-H leader. So we're very involved in the community. My daughters will probably serve you coffee. They're at Starbucks, and my son works at Pizza Hut. He's probably helped you there. My son Hunter played football here with Lebanon. In fact, we'll be back at the baseball diamonds tomorrow night. About 11th Street Development, that is our company. My background is in landscape architecture, urban planning, and as a real estate broker. So I'm licensed in all those fields. I'm really passionate about building places people love and communities that people enjoy. And that was really instilled in me. Growing up, had clients earlier in my career that were developers, and then actually went to work directly for a developer back in 2002 for Estridge Homes. And I've spent much of that time working with them, creating great communities. And really for me, our projects need to serve a bigger purpose and really meet bigger needs of the community. So as Matt mentioned, the two sites that we're looking at are the lots there on Ash Street, and that portion that was never completed, and then this transitional piece on Noble where we're going from industrial and the train tracks over to the single-family homes along Patterson. And as a planner, I'd be remiss if I didn't start with the comprehensive plan. It's always our guide. And the plan's very clear that it's supporting, it identifies residential development for this area, that it supports infill development, and that it's looking for infill and rehabilitation of vacant and underutilized lots. And that's where the idea of these lots came about, or the opportunity. And we're just, again, very excited because so many things are aligning to make this happen. And then finally, looking for diverse housing options for first-time buyers, repeat buyers, and renters. And these projects are seeking to do that, and providing that diversity and providing those options. It's no secret that there is a shortage of housing right now, and that's both national and local. We've been looking, this is personal for me, my daughters, I have 2 daughters here in town that we're looking for a place for them to buy. I'd love to have my mother-in-law come up and live with us. She lives in the southern part of the state. And so as we've been looking, as we've been tracking homes here in the Lebanon market, single-family homes are gone. The average time on market is 6 days this year. So the need for housing has never been greater. First, I'd like to talk about the Ash Street cottages. It's a little bit different concept. One I've been wanting to do for quite a while. I would say since I was involved with the Extreme Makeover build in Indianapolis, over 10 years ago. I'm trying to do some cottages there, trying to provide that opportunity in that neighborhood. Obviously, with the constraints, not able to do that, but it's something we've been desiring to do for quite a while, and I think this site is perfect for that. In a cottage concept, you've got really just cute homes that are clustered around a common green, and the focus is on creating a sense of community and having the ability for people to connect. I use this image here. This was kind of our inspirational image. It's a cottage community up in the Pacific Northwest, but you can see the common area there in the center, that all the homes front on that common area. You'll see a repetition of architecture, but it's the colors and things that really make a really cute neighborhood. This here is an aerial view of a, it's coming. There it goes. This is an aerial view of a cottage community. And you can see the central green. Here they've got a green lawn and then sort of a community garden in the homes that are located and face upon that green with the parking off to the side. Oh no! All right, thank you. So here's another shot of a cottage looking at the kind of the common space in the homes behind. Given the nature that we're primarily single-family homes around those lots, we're looking at 1-story or story-and-a-half homes, and that's what we've written in the PUD. This would be an example of a story-and-a-half home. We want that building mass to be low and be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. And finally, one final shot of just how the cottages front upon that green and the gathering space that happens. So it's really about connecting people and having just a cute, tight-knit community. Now for this site, we're looking at a total of 30 cottages that would be located around 3 common areas or common greens. On the south side, we have 7 homes. Let me see if I've got, there's 7 homes that front upon the probably where we'll have our mail collection and other sort of gathering places. Across the street to the north, we've got a long linear common area that runs north-south, homes front along those, and then we have a sort of P-shaped common area on the northeast side. And then the 2 homes or 3 homes on the east would front upon a little small common area there. So all these elements kind of come together. You'll notice that on Ash Street, what we're proposing, a lot of little details on design here, so if I get too wordy, let me know. But there's little things we think about, like on Ash Street, there's an existing curb cut that's already there. The curbs are in. We would take that and then actually bend that to the north a little bit to offset the alignment of the road, so slow traffic down, and really have that sense of serenity in the neighborhood. For this site, we've been working with our architect on some specific homes. We're really probably going to end up with all 1-story cottages here. We're looking at 2-bedroom with a flex space, and 3-bedroom cottages that would range between 1,000 square feet and 1,300 square feet. And again, a key element is the front porches, so you have that public common area, you've got this sort of semi-public space, which is your front porch, and that interaction space, and then the home. These homes might identify young couples, empty nesters, and singles. I don't expect many kids. It's just not a kid-type product. I would really expect the empty nesters to be the biggest renters here in this community. And as I mentioned, it will be a rental community. I'll be involved long-term in the operation and maintenance of these homes, and having those, my goal is to have a great spot for people to rent that looks nice. It'll be professionally managed and have professional maintenance. That's very important to us, as you'll see with the other project as well. It was in the discussions about the cottages that the question came up about attainable housing, because home prices are just escalating so crazy. How do we get a better jobs and housing balance in the community? We've got so many people coming in to the community for work. How do we begin to capture some of those? I think of friends here at church that are a prime candidate for this type of house. And so what we're trying to do here is hit a market rate attainable price. I don't do subsidized housing, things like that. That's a totally different ballgame. I've never dabbled in that realm. I don't do that type of work. But by doing the narrow lots here, these are 25-foot wide lots with 15-foot wide homes. And what you're doing is essentially just making a long linear floor plan rather than a bigger rectangle. It's the way the rooms are the normal size, but it's how you arrange those rooms. And by arranging them in a linear fashion, we're able to still have good architecture, which is very important to me, make sure the community looks good, and be able to have the density and the sense of community that is important to make the numbers work. To be able to hit, our goal is to be at an average $200,000 price point. We're doing our best that we can to do that. So in this case, the homes are in groups of 6 with common areas in between. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the parcel, we're kind of left with a pretty straight north-south street that comes off of Noble. I love coming off Noble because the traffic can go either west to 32 or east to 39. But we're dealing with a situation, unfortunately, I can't get too much creativity in the road design. So with that, we've taken the homes, put them in groups of 6 with common areas in between. All the yards will be fenced, and we'll have a community gathering area on the north end. It's the red asterisk that you see up to the top. And again, just a place for people to be able to get together. Working with our architect, these are the homes that we're looking at building in the community. These would be 2- and 3-bedroom homes, 1,300 square feet to 1,600 square feet. And we look at the price ranges between 180 and 225,000. And our goal is to really kind of have an average of 200. Oh. Matt, say it. Thank you. So as I mentioned, the rooms themselves are quite large. It's just how you arrange them. So in this situation, we have a one-car garage. We've got parking for another car in front of that. And then we also have room for, with parking on only one side of the street, we have room for an additional 22 spaces in the neighborhood for on-street parking. These are some examples of kind of what we have as our inspirational floor plan in sort of the design. So you can see it essentially ranges from the garage to the kitchen, dining, and family room. Very open. We're looking at 9-foot ceilings on both floors of the home. You can see looking back towards the stairs, they're off to the side. So that whole area is quite open. And then upstairs in the room, just good volumes of the room. So we're looking at, again, 2 to 3 bedroom homes in here. This is kind of drilling down or focusing in on what one of those clusters of 6 homes would be. We've got a common area, then the 6 homes, and then another common area to space that out, break up the streetscape. You'll see in this kind of the fuzzy green circles up on the common areas at the nose, the common area by the street, those would be evergreens. My goal is to really break down the feel of that community into these smaller 6 homes, so you don't have this long streetscape down the block, along with the street trees that you see here. So a lot of landscaping things. And then this here is a scaled elevation that I had our architect prepared to show up kind of that, how those 6 homes work together in the streetscape they create. The trees are not to scale. I rib him. He gives me these little small trees. That's not what we'll actually have shade trees and things as was shown on the other part. He gives me a hard time being a landscape architect. I give him a hard time about being an architect, and he didn't want the trees to block his homes. So he's a good guy, does great design, but this is what that streetscape would be of the 6 homes. This neighborhood will have a homeowners association. That homeowners association will be professionally managed and manage the maintenance of the community. And the HOA will manage not only, typically you just manage the common areas in the community. In this community will manage not only the common areas, but also the front yards. So fence to fence across the street, all the front yards will be commonly maintained, and so the neighborhood always looks good. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
So they don't have to mow their own front yards?
Exactly.
They don't have to shovel their own snow off the walks?
They'll be in charge. They'll do their. Let me jump back here to the. They'll be responsible for shoveling the walks and things, but as far as the mowing and so forth, that will be done by the HOA.
And mulching and those types of things?
Yeah.
The backyard, they're responsible for?
They're responsible for that. It's totally fenced, and the individual owners are responsible for that area.
Okay. Kind of a unique idea.
Yeah, it's one that I've seen elsewhere, and it's one of my concern for maintenance and making sure it looks good on an ongoing basis. I'm looking at as you see in the plan on the screen, originally we had 8 duplex units proposed up on the north side on Patterson. We've removed those, just to make sure we have plenty of open space, plenty of drainage. So this site actually we provide more than enough drainage for the Noble Street site and the Ash Street site with the drainage you see here on the north end of the property. Okay. And that's all dry detention, so it'll only have water when it rains, just to hold it and then slowly release it.
Okay.
Can you show that slide again that shows the on-street parking?
Street parking, let's see. For the cottages or for the,
No, for the last development there off
Yeah.
of,
well, you can kind of see it in the, I'll go to this slide here, the elevation probably shows it a little bit better.
yes, that was kind of a rendering there.
So what we've done is normally when you go into a neighborhood, what we call handing, what side of the lot the driveway is on, usually the handing will all be on the same side. So that the front door is towards essentially where you're entering the community. What we've done here is that we've alternated the handing, so the front doors face out, or should I say, abut the common areas for the end units. And then, I'll just use numbers 1 through 6 for this elevation. So on home number 1, the door's on the left by the common area. On house 2 and 3, the doors are close to each other. And then on 3 and 4, between 3 and 4, there's no front doors. Then 4 and 5, the doors are together, and then home 6, the door is on the common area, or by the common area. What this does, it allows us to move the driveways back and forth so that you'll see here, on-street parking can occur by that common area and also in between homes 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And so as we do that down the street, we end up getting 22 on-street parking spaces, in addition to each lot having 2 parking spaces.
Any further questions from council?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to have Mr. Shine read ordinance 2021-08.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, this is ordinance number 2021-08 that amends ordinance number 07-16, the Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Lebanon. As Mr. Reynolds indicated, the City of Lebanon Advisory Plan Commission considered petition docket 21-15 that amended the Unified Development Ordinance and the zoning map and all that's described in Exhibit A. The Planning Commission forwarded docket 21-15 after a public hearing was held on April 19, 2021 to this council with a favorable recommendation by a vote of 5-2 in accordance with Indiana law. This ordinance is several pages, and as we've done in the past, and I know Mr. Reynolds went through it in a little bit more depth, but Section 1 discusses the applicability of the ordinance. Section 2 discusses the definition. Section 3 sets forth the concept plan, which is also attached as Exhibit B. Section 4 discusses the underlying zoning district, and then Section 5 gets into the permitted uses. Section 6 is the overlay district, and Section 7 discusses the general regulations, and again, that goes into a little bit more detail with the development standards matrix. Section 8 addresses the development standards, and again, 8.1 talks about the lot standards. 8.2 discusses parking and loading standards. 8.3 discusses landscaping. 8.4 addresses accessory uses and structures, as well as fence and wall standards and temporary uses in 8586. Section 9 deals with design standards, and that's also set forth in Exhibit C for you. That is a few pages. Section 10 discusses the subdivision of the land that's been addressed, and Section 11 discusses vacation of right-of-ways.
Okay. That is the first reading of ordinance 2021-08, and I will now take public comment or questions. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or thereabouts so everyone will have a chance. And we will ask you to step to the podium and please state your name and your address for the record. So we will open public comment now.
Is that right? awarded the 20.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Brian Benton. I live at 804 South Patterson Street. That is on the west side of Patterson, and it adjoins the Noble Street property. I've lived at that address for 38 years. We always knew that someday that property was going to be developed, but we always assumed that it was going to be developed with like houses, not two-story houses crammed in on such a small lot. We don't feel it's appropriate for our area. It's just too much in that small area. We oppose it, I oppose it, and therefore I urge you to not vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other comments or questions? If there are no further members of the public wish to speak, then we will move on to ordinance 2021-09. That's the Brandenburg property annexation. And Matt, you can brief us again.
Thank you again, board, or council, sorry, board this time. So tonight, again, another first reading for you. Tonight is a petition of annexation that was forwarded to you with a unanimous favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission last week. We are referencing 27 acres of property. Let me pull this up here. So looking at the image that you see on the screen here, these 27 acres is generally bordered by 300 North on the north side, State Road 39 to the east, Stonegate, Meadows, Senior Living to the south, Meadow Wings to the west. Across the street to the east is another senior living community right next to the hospital. So this is the Brandenburg property just on the north side of town. So this first reading tonight is concerning these 27 acres and zoning, the annexation, and then the petition to zone it. And then at your next council meeting, you'll have a second reading, which will be accompanied by a fiscal plan that Baker and Tilly is currently working on right now. This particular product, if an annexation is submitted without a development proposal, the annexed property is generally classified into a single-family zoning district. This particular property, the developer is not here this evening, but NRP Group is the petitioner for this annexation of the land, and they did include a conceptual plan for a senior living community. And I don't want to get into too much detail again. This is conceptual, big picture, kind of big ideas. So the development that you see on your screen is the southern portion of this parcel. So you'll see some multi-story buildings on both the east and west sides with a drive point or an entrance coming in off an existing drive point off State Road 39. You kind of see to the east there. And then I believe this is based off the petitioner's presentation last week. These first two on the east side would be kind of the phase one with a potential phase 2 and 3 coming later with that connection to the Meadow Wings subdivision to the west on that far west side, that cul-de-sac there. That was one of the things that the planning department wanted to have, was that west side entrance and exit connection off that stub street. So tonight before you again, it's a petition for annexation. We're recommending multifamily as the overall zoning classification for this, which is the most appropriate for this annexed territory, considering that there is a proposed conceptual plan for the future use of this property.
So Matt, it's going to connect to Meadow Wings?
Eventually, yes. So if you see on the screen that we have here, and I'll kind of zoom in, there is a stub street on the east side of Meadow Wings that was intended for future development out to the east. So part of the development plan would connect the Meadow Wing subdivision. Again, it wouldn't be a straight drive, but there would be a connection out to State Road 39.
Where's it at on the current picture you have up here?
So the stub street, you can kind of see
Okay.
towards the center of the screen. And then, again, through the parking lot would be so that, again, it's not designed as an entrance exit. It's more of a consideration given to an existing stub street to allow access in and out if need be for the Meadow Wings division, and/or I don't see anybody exiting this proposed development out the west side unless they lived in the Meadow Wing subdivision or were visiting somebody out that way. Most of the traffic is going to be headed out to State Road 39 to either go north or south.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question. You refer to this as the Brandenburg property?
Correct.
Is this a voluntary annexation by
It
the
is.
Brandenburg family?
It is.
Okay, that wasn't brought up, I just want to make sure it
I'm
was on the
sorry.
record
Yeah.
that
I'm going
they're
kind
the
of quick
ones that
tonight.
question
I'll
it.
try.
Is
Skip
that
over.
correct?
Voluntary annexation.
Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion amongst council?
I have a question. The driveway that's there now stays the same, right?
That is correct.
So that'll be mostly their main in and out
Correct.
of the, yes. Okay.
Any further? Okay, Mr. Shine, if you would read ordinance 2021-09.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council. Again, this is ordinance 2021-09 concerning the annexation of certain property that is set forth in Exhibits A and B. 100% of the owners of the parcels in Exhibits A and B have filed a voluntary petition with this council pursuant to Indiana law. The Lebanon Advisory Plan Commission held a public hearing at their meeting on April 19th of 2021 and forwarded docket number 21-16 to this council with a favorable recommendation 7-0 to assign the multifamily residential zoning classification for the annexation area. This council will conduct a public hearing after this reading on April 26, 2021. This council will adopt a fiscal plan for the annexation area in accordance with Indiana law, and the annexation area meets the contiguity requirements that's set forth in Indiana law. Therefore, the annexation area that generally borders North Lebanon Street to the east and 300 North to the north and adjacent to the existing corporate limits along the southern and western boundaries of the annexation area is declared annexed to and declared to be a part of the city of Lebanon. The annexation area is to further include the contiguous public highways and rights-of-ways of the public highways. And this area would be assigned Council District 4 and become part of it immediately upon the effective date of the ordinance. And as discussed, it would be assigned a multifamily residential zoning classification.
Thank you, Mr. Shine. At this point, I will open a public hearing on ordinance 2021-09. If anyone would like to come forward and make a presentation, please keep your comments brief. Step to the podium, state your name and your address, please.
I'm Sandra Breedlove at 725. Do I have to leave this on?
I think you can take it
You can
off.
take it
You're distant from everyone.
There you go.
I'm Sandra Breedlove. I live at 725 West 300 North, and I better ensure exactly. I am to the west of the Brandenburg property, and my lot extends all the way from 300 to the Meadows development. And so that area to the east of me would be included. Is that correct?
I believe any of the Brandenburg property will be annexed, correct?
Is the home and the barns being annexed to?
They will be annexed. Matt, you might explain, I don't believe that's actually part of the development part, but the annexation will affect that entire L-shaped piece of property.
And there's going to be an entrance on 39 and another from the Meadow Development. Is that correct?
That's the way I understand it.
Okay, that's probably me then. And if you decide that it's not, let me know. Okay, I have almost 4 acres. I petitioned for the bypass that's being developed, the 300. They were going to change the bypass to go north of 300 because that was agricultural/residential when we developed about over 40 years ago, okay? Then later they had in the newspaper that they were going to, the initial part of where 300 starts from 39 up to an area that declared it was a habitat. It wasn't going to go north until after that area someplace, and I'm not sure why. And when I went up to the office today, there was no firm decision that that was going to happen. It was down the road. But because of the large amount of traffic, both on 39 and on 300, because it goes into 52 and people north of our area live and use it. And so there's quite a bit of traffic there. That is going to change into more traffic, and so that should be a reason for the county to not use the current area from where 300 connects to 39 because it's a pretty large area for development, and they have already development over off of 39. Isn't that correct, this company?
I'm not sure.
No, I don't believe so.
I'm being told no.
I was told up in the office that they have the development across from the hospital.
Across from them.
What is the
Crown
name
Point.
of the developer? It was 3 initials.
Kevin, can you answer?
NRP, Kevin,
Yeah.
The developer's NRP,
Right.
and they did develop the Stonegate Meadows property.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so when they developed Meadowing, the person that developed it told us that he was going to put a swale in between our property and the property of Meadow Wings. And we said no. The reason we said no was because of the topography. We drained on that field. He changed his area to be higher than our area. The other 2 properties were had the topography that it would still be higher than their property with the swale, so they weren't hurt. But for us, on our 4 acres, we said, no, we don't want that. And there was an attorney involved. There was a long period of waiting. The other people were waiting for money, which they divided $24,000. Finally, I said, we will accept one single of the condo type development because it was going to be changing the topography after the development happened, and it was passed by the council, and it was passed by the mayor, and it was passed by another public organization. I think Piper was in charge of that. All of them passed that because we had told the developer we didn't want that to happen, and he went ahead and put it in. We tried to get him arrested for theft of property. They wouldn't do it. And the council and the mayor and the other person involved in the city okayed it. We went and explained why at the public meeting. It did no good at all. They went ahead and left the swale and put in a double condo. And the year before this last year, they put another one in that was almost another whole double. The initial change in our property was 30 feet of flooding, and I had pictures of it. They didn't even want to see them. When they did put the drainage on the condos, it no longer flooded, but there's always potential here. I would not sell it to anybody as prime property because you never know whether there's going to be another flooding. So when they did that, we have no exit to our south property. It's all owned by condo people. And so I want, if you go ahead with this, I want to have an exit to be also enables us to use our property if somebody wants to buy it and develop part of that 4 acres. Right now, we have none because of the city and because of the developer. They just took it over. I did even get a report back from the sheriff, but I did talk to Detective Beard, and he told me what had happened. So I want an exit for our property because it was taken illegally. No, we didn't get anywhere even with the attorney that was involved. I won't go further into that. However, I also want to bring up that the property off of 39 currently does not have any open area beside flood pits for children to be in. There are children in that area. I think that you should be considerate of families that move there and have a non-flood pit area for the children to have, like a ball game or some play equipment. There are no play equipment outside. I talked to a lady today and she says that she didn't think it was allowed. So let me see what I've covered now.
Ma'am, you've been speaking 10 minutes now, so if you could wrap it up, your presentation,
Oh, I
please.
think it's important, though, and you're going to know about it. You're going to make a decision about it and down the road, and you need to know what's going on. You already did wrong in the council and the mayor and the other organization by taking our property. So don't you think that you need to hear about it?
Sandra, nobody took your property.
Oh, yes, they did.
Ma'am, if you want to have a discussion after the meeting, that is fine, but in the interest of moving forward and other people having a chance, you need to wrap up your presentation.
Well,
And this is outside the scope of this meeting. We're talking about
you
annexing.
changed my property. The council of Lebanon changed my property from what it was to something different. They completely denied any exit to our southern border. And if you think that's not important, I don't know what is, because that's very discriminatory.
Sandra,
Everything for the developer, everything for the city, and to heck with you, you're just a property owner. Now, does that sound reasonable? No, it isn't.
Ma'am, your time is up now. Thank you.
Oh, well, let's see.
No, ma'am, your time is up. I'm sorry.
I call that discriminatory then.
Well, you can call it what you want.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for what you are, discriminatory.
Is there any other public comment? If there is none, we are closing the public hearing for ordinance 2021-09. Is there any other new business the council would like to bring forward?
No, sir.
Councilman Copeland,
New business?
did you want to bring something up?
I just wanted to bring up last week when we had the snow and the rain, a lot of the communities, a lot of the neighborhoods lost trees and branches and things, and I think that the street department went above and beyond the call when they went out through the neighborhoods. I know I left that afternoon, or that morning, and when I came back that afternoon, they had done a great job around the neighborhoods. They've gotten rid of all the sticks, the limbs, the trees, and things like that, and they cleaned up the messes, and I had several people come up and they positive comments on what the street department did, so I'd like to give kudos to the men and women of the Lebanon Street Department.
I will second that. I heard a lot of good comments about how they've handled it.
Thank you.
So, kudos to the street departments. If there's no further new business, I will entertain a motion on the claims.
Make a motion, we pay the claims?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The claims have been passed. I would take a motion to adjourn.
Can we adjourn?
Sir? I thought we were covering docket 2116. The annexation of 300
-16?
Yes, sir. 2116.
Oh. No, that was 09.
09.
Oh, the docket 2116.
Docket 21, yeah.
Okay. That was what we just discussed. That's ordinance 2021-09.
Well, it says 2116 on the paper you sent me.
I don't know what paper that is, sir.
Yeah.
He's referring to a docket number referencing the Plan Commission application.
Okay. So that's a planning commission number.
Oh,
Okay.
Right.
okay, so that was the annexation of 300 North Hudson.
Correct, sir.
Okay. I was wondering if it included my house at 455 West 300 North.
Okay.
No.
No.
Okay.
Did that,
Can I make a quick suggestion? I'll be happy to go for it. I apologize.
okay. We will allow it.
My name's Kenny Mitchell, and I live at the corner of 39 and 300 North, 455 West, 300 North. If you guys send out documents like this, it's fine if you put this legal jargon on here, but on the back, put a little map of where you're planning on annexing. I'm not Lewis and Clark. I don't understand this stuff. I don't have a surveying stick or anything. I mean, it would have been very simple to draw out a map of what you're planning on annexing.
Okay.
And, you know, it's just a suggestion. It'd make this-
Thank you, Mr.
I wouldn't
Mitchell.
even have to come here because I would have known
Sure.
that property wasn't involved.
Okay, Mr. Mitchell, thank you for coming up, but this is a voluntary annexation where the property owner makes an application to be wanted to be annexed into the city, so...
Okay, the way I understood it, and I'm kind of ignorant to this stuff, but I thought that you were bringing pipes out to 300 and we could voluntarily hook up or not. That's what I thought voluntary annexation meant.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was the confusion there, and if
Okay.
I would have known where the property was, I wouldn't even came tonight.
Okay, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Good suggestion. We'll take it into consideration when we reach out to other property owners in the future, so.
I
if
think
there-
there's another gentleman.
I'm sorry?
I think there's another gentleman. Did you have something to say too? No, I'm good. You're good? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay, if there is nothing else for this council meeting, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I just need a second.
We just need a
Oh,
second.
my goodness. I'm not going to make that motion again.
You already made it.
Okay, we have a-
Gentlemen and ladies, there were two public meetings where we asked them not to leave this
You're being
room.
disruptive.
If
Thank you.
we have a motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. It passes. This meeting is adjourned. We will see you at the next city council meeting, May 10th at 7:15. Thank you for watching.